Hello, good day viewers, and welcome to today's episode on Research Hub by Dimas. I am your host, Abani Udochukwu Isaac, and today I'm going to be showing you some amazing things on research. Have you had problems on your chapter 1, especially when you're thinking about your research gap? Say no more, because this video is going to help you. This video is going to expose a lot of things to you that you've never known about your research gap, which is the most important piece in the research. And I say that without mixing word, because your research gap is what makes your research a research. If your research doesn't have a gap, then you are just confirming other people's work, and then even less than that, you are just doing no work. You are just repeating a work that has been done. And that is why it is important for your research to always have a clear-cut gap which differentiates it between your research and another research. So your supervisor or whoever will be looking to see your research, and this is one of the most important things he will be looking for, especially in your research chapters 1 and 2. So quickly, without wasting our time, let's go straight into our research gap. So now, what is research gap to begin with? Now, research gap is an area or topic that has not been fully explored or answered in an existing study. It refers to missing or insufficient information in current research literature. A research gap is a problem or question that previous researchers have not adequately addressed. You see the point? So sometimes it might be that they have already discovered this problem. For example, if there is a problem on social media, and let's say academic performance, some may have discovered this problem, but they might not have intensely discuss or address this issue. Or it might be that they have addressed the issue of social media at large, but they have not looked at specifically maybe on the effect of TikTok. So this is how you identify your own gap. So moving forward, a research gap exists when there is a lack of information, inconsistency in findings, or new perspectives that have not yet been studied. Identifying a research gap helps researcher contribute new knowledge, underline new knowledge, solve unresolved problem, or improve existing studies. It is the foundation of any meaningful research. That is to tell you that for you to be able to establish a new knowledge, you must have identified a gap. So in essence, your research gap is the major reason why you're engaging on a research project. Now, we have, at least in this study, for the purpose of this study, 4 types of research gaps. Now, the first type of research gap is the knowledge gap. What is the knowledge gap? When information is missing. Now, most times in studies, you see the purpose of this study is to contribute to existing knowledge on a particular topic. So you might be contributing to the existing knowledge on social media, and the impact of social media on academic performance, right? So maybe because limited research on the impact on social media on rural education or academic performance has not been well explored. So you now want to contribute your own quota, your own knowledge, like I said before. Now, take for instance the hypothetical example we have here. We have the impact of social media on rural education, right? So maybe other studies have looked at the impact of social media, but not on rural education. It might be on urban education. So you are narrowing it down and bringing knowledge down to the rural area. The same thing, the next one in our list is methodological gap, right? There could also be methodological gap, especially when we are looking at gaps in methods, the tools used, the research design. It might be that previous studies have adopted qualitative research, which we are going to deal intensively, or we are going to deal with decisively in our further videos. But some of them might have looked at qualitative research design, while others you might now decide to look at the quantitative research design. You understand? Using statistical method. You understand? It could also be that the method, maybe this other person used a survey method, and then you want to use the focus group discussion method. So there are different methods through which you can also use to establish a new knowledge or confirm an existing knowledge. You understand? So maybe previous studies use only surveys instead of experiments. This is also in line with what I'm saying. Now we also have the empirical gap. What is empirical gap? Empirical gap is largely based on studies that have been previously conducted, and then most times when we are doing our empirical review, for instance, you now look at what are the topics, who are the scholars that did these topics. You now looked at the title of the topics, look at the objective of the topics, and then we look at the methods that these topics employed, and then you also looked at the findings, and then you now juxtapose that findings with the present research that you're engaging on. While this study focused on this my study is focusing on that. While this study focused on rural education, on urban education, my study is focusing on what? Rural education, you see. So by this you have been able to compare and contrast between your research and the other person's research. That is the essence of empirical studies for those who are doing your empirical studies. So by reviewing empirical literatures, you therefore establish a gap between your or a lacuna between your present study and those of the previous ones. So finally, we also have the theoretical gap. The theoretical gap has to do with gap in theory. Many persons might have devised a theory through which they engage in a literature. For instance, you may have used maybe the autocratic style or the democratic style theory. There are different kind of theories that could have been employed, Then you might also come up with a new theory that better explains a particular observation or a particular behavior. That is actually you engaging on a theoretical gap. You are bringing a new gap. So in conclusion, research gaps are essential in building new studies and advancing knowledge. By carefully reviewing existing literature, identifying missing information, and asking critical questions, researchers can discover meaningful gaps. Addressing these gaps leads to innovation, deeper understanding, and valuable contribution to academic and real-world problems. So the underlying word there is, innovation and deep understanding. So once you have been able to establish a gap, you have innovated, and that is the essence of research, to have new knowledge. And once you have done this, then we can say you have now conducted a research of your own. So I hope this has contributed to your knowledge on your research, and we also look forward to you looking up for our other videos on other aspects of research. And don't forget to hit the like button and also to follow and to subscribe. Thank you so much, and until we meet next time, I still remain your favorite anchor, Abani Udochukwu Isaac. Stay tuned. All right.